And I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for everyone here today. I want to thank my friend Mark Sutcliffe. Mark, he's making a great announcement on partnerships with the province and the federal government, and I think he wants to get another LRT going, so that's going to be great for the people of Ottawa. I just want to thank him for hosting us here in Ottawa, as well as Mayor Robin Jones and everyone at AMO for organizing this year's conference. And I heard that we signed an agreement, AMO, for 5 years in Ottawa. There's no better place than having AMO right here in Ottawa. I want to thank my regional chief, Benedict, but you're an absolute champion. See, we were talking the other day, he's cut from a different cloth. He wants to get things done. Let's improve on what we've done in the past. Let's look at more opportunities, more economic opportunities, and he's pragmatic. That's the way I can describe it. But he's forward thinking. He's always thinking, what can we do better, and continuous improvement. So again, Regional Chief, thank you. And I think last time he came to the House was May. We got to break bread again pretty soon, or break pizza, whatever we end up ordering that day. But thank you for our relationship, and we look forward to working with you. And I want to thank all the First Nations leaders who are here today. Linda DiBiase, where are you? I absolutely love her. She's incredible. I was just talking to her in the back there. And all my great ministers and caucus members who are here today. I also want to acknowledge all the hardworking mayors, councillors, wardens, and municipal officials gathered here and working across Ontario. Thank you for your continued partnership as we protect and build Ontario. I know I say it every single time. I've walked a mile in your shoes, and it's front-facing. And what I mean by front-facing, when Mrs. Jones calls you about a sewer or a cracked sidewalk, you're literally on their front door. And sometimes I forget that I'm not a city councillor anymore, and I go to Mrs. Jones on the front door. Then I end up calling the mayor or the councillor or the MP and so on and so forth. But that's our duty, right? That's our duty when we all get elected to represent the people, no matter what level of government you are. And, you know, Francois Champagne, I called him the other day. Some lady was door knocking, and she said she had a problem with her taxes. So I think Francois thinks I'm off kilter a little bit. I call him up. I said, there's this lady that needs to talk to the CRA. Here's her number. But do you know what I love about Minister Champagne? He actually calls the people back. So he's just, you know, just phenomenal. Before I begin, I want to thank the brave men and women who are working day and night to fight the wildfires that have affected so many communities in Northern Ontario. And Regional Chief and I were talking about this. We also want to thank the host cities from across the province for stepping up to support evacuees. You know, they rolled out the red carpet, they welcomed them and within their communities, and we're just so grateful. And if you look at the coordination and the collaboration, when you start moving back and forth, probably it was 4,500 people if you include both ways, it's great. But there's always room for improvement, as we were saying. This is the very best of the Ontario spirit. When there's a crisis, we all band together. And since our government took office, we've spent over $1.5 billion to fight wildland fires. We're adding 6 new water bombers and 5 new helicopters to our fleet. We've created over 170 permanent frontline positions over the last 3 years. And we've increased compensation for pilots and firefighters so that we can continue to hire and retain staff. We also had a conversation with all the premiers and the Prime Minister saying we need a national fire strategy. We need to go out there and buy at least 60 fire bombers because they take a long time to build, but we need to all collaborate, put them right across the country from coast to coast to coast, starting in BC and all the way out to the East Coast and everything in between. Because during the wildfires, we've had in excess of over 100 aircraft, helicopters in the air, and that's pretty staggering, and other provinces pitching in. to those who have been forced from their homes. Know that our government will not spare a single penny to fight these fires and keep people safe, and when you return home, we'll be there to help you recover and rebuild. As we gather here today, workers and businesses across Ontario continue to be threatened by U.S. tariffs, including President Trump's latest threat of new tariffs of up to 50%. Ontario will be prepared for any and every scenario, but this is why I have been pushing so hard for a united Team Canada response to this attack on Canadian workers, on Canadian sovereignty, Canadian communities. We need to stick together. And the message I continue to share with my meetings with American governors, senators, members of Congress, industry leaders, is that Canada, the United States, and Mexico are so much stronger when we work together. Now, folks, when you have an opportunity, go and connect. And I know municipalities go down to the U.S. and connect with their colleagues. It's about building relationships. And, you know, when I went down there last time, it was a Southwestern governors meeting. And there was 9 governors from Democrats, Republicans. Personally, if I didn't know they were Democrats or Republicans, I couldn't tell the difference because the ground is shifting. The ground is shifting. People want certainty. They want stability, just like we all want. We want it in our lives. We want it in our communities. They feel the exact same way. And I can tell you, they're getting very impatient. Not with us, I think with the president, that they want to start moving and getting a deal together. So together, we have a chance to build the most successful economic partnership in the entire world, to create lasting prosperity, economic opportunity, and security across North America. When it comes to protecting Ontario, as I've said from the start, while we may not be able to control President Trump, we can and are controlling the decisions we make here in Ontario, delivering on our plan to build the most competitive, resilient, and self-reliant economy in the G7. Folks, the fact is, we have never, ever raised a tax, and we will never raise the tax. Isn't it amazing when you cut taxes, and we've cut taxes and fees, reducing the burden on taxation from the backs of people and companies by $12 billion each and every single year. But I find it amazing when you cut taxes, you see $71 billion more revenue come up the Queen's Park coffers because there's 1 million more people working. And there's hundreds of billions of dollars that are being invested, $235 billion to be exact, being invested right here in Ontario, and those companies are paying taxes. Our plan is working, and we're seeing the results. We created the conditions, and by the way, folks, I want to correct this. When we say we, I'm talking inclusively. No matter if it's, we can't do anything without supporting municipalities and regions, federal government, and the provincial government. So we, as a collective group, we've created the conditions and growth and attracting, as I mentioned, $235 billion of investment since 2018 and creating more than 1 million new jobs, and those are good paying jobs in every corner of our province. What I love about this, and it's all of you in this room, everyone, just last month, Ontario led North America in job creation, with more than 52,000 new jobs created in July and nearly 120,000 new jobs over the last 4 months. I want to thank you. Because, you know, we're in uncertain times right now, but even in certain times, those are incredible numbers. So all the regions and cities and towns are creating the opportunities for companies to come and invest. So I'm very, very grateful. And we're going to keep creating the conditions to attract investment, which is exactly what we did last week when we announced our data center playbook. Data centers have been around for decades, as everyone knows, not just to support AI, but for goods and services everyone in Ontario relies on. And as I said last week, Ontario has a choice. We can build the economy of the future and ensure Canadians' data remains in Canada, or we can get left behind and risk Canadians' data being sent to the US and into the hands of President Trump. You know, that would be the worst thing we could ever do, let President Trump control our data. That guy would cut us off in about 3 seconds. And so we need to make sure we have data sovereignty in our own hands. Our framework will ensure data centers cover the full cost of their electricity usage, and in some cases, they're going to be paying a premium. Ontario will not offer financial incentives to attract investments. Instead, we'll rely on the natural competitive advantages, including our clean and reliable electricity system, available land, cool climate, and most importantly, our world-class workforce. We will only advance projects that strengthen Ontario and Canada's control over sensitive data. We will only advance projects that meet Ontario's strict environmental standards around water consumption and noise. And we will only advance projects that bring real benefits and significant investment in local infrastructure and host communities, including investments in community centres, parks, roads, broadband infrastructure, and other projects that commit to job creation, job training, and long-term economic growth. We have an historic opportunity to deliver for communities across Ontario, attracting millions of dollars in tax revenue, while safeguarding people's information and keeping it out of the hands of President Trump. Ontario is going to choose only the best projects, and we'll be relying on many of you here today to help us build the future. You know, I was joking around with Vic Fideli the other day. It seems like he has a list of about 200 people. Everyone and their brother in a van think they're data center experts. Folks, you're going to be part of the choice. Do not just take anyone. We may take a half a dozen, the best and the biggest in the world. And I was reading a lot of articles in the U.S., and we learned a lot actually going down there looking at the data centers, that these data centers should not just be allowed to come in, and we shouldn't be lobbying them to come in. We're in the driver's seat, all of us. They need our energy, they need the cool environment, but most importantly, they need the workforce. So negotiate and negotiate hard and ask them, what are you going to do for our community? Because they're making billions. Working with First Nations partners, our government is also delivering on our plan to build the roads to the Ring of Fire. Earlier this summer, I was in Webequie First Nations to break ground on the first of these new roads, which will be completed 5 years ahead of schedule. These roads will help unlock $22 billion in economic opportunity and create 70,000 good-paying jobs from northern mines to southern manufacturing floors. Now, Regional Chief Benedict and I were talking on the phone, and you took the words out of my mouth. So, Deputy Chief, not Deputy Chief, Regional Chief, I should say. I keep thinking Deputy Chief in my office. Regional Chief, you know, we sat down and talked. So when I was there, they said, you know, I said, what are your priorities? What do you need? And I said, well, the first thing I believe you need a runway that's paved until you can get larger planes in there. That's kind of familiar, you know, saying in Toronto right now. Larger planes, paved. I love Olivia, don't worry, we get along very well. But you need opportunities, right? More parts. God forbid these wildfires continue, we get everyone out. So we're on the exact same page book. We need to start paving these runways. We're also, thank you, that person wants a paved runway for sure back there. Get their name. We're also moving ahead with our plan to build the Northern Shield Energy Corridor, which will bring Canadian oil through an all-Canadian route from Alberta to Sarnia, Ontario, in a pipeline made by Canadian workers with Canadian steel. We're moving ahead on this transformational project because the fuel that powers Ontario homes and businesses should not be put at risk because of decisions made outside of our great country. To support Ontario's growth, we're also doubling down on our $236 billion plan to build, which is the largest infrastructure plan of its kind in Canadian history. Building more hospitals, schools, highways, transit, connect communities, create jobs, and grow our economy. I love when I'm driving out there. As much as I hate the traffic, I love seeing the construction, and it just keeps going and going and going. So that's great. I'm just going to rattle. They aren't in front of the screen, but I'm going to rattle it off anyways. I can't help myself. $64 billion on 50 sites and hospitals, either getting a new site or an addition to a site. Building the largest transit expansion in North America, $80 billion. Building the largest road expansion over bridges and highways to a tune of $30 billion. Building new schools to a tune of $22 billion. And spending billions in long-term care and training and universities, $6.4 billion with universities over the, I know, that was a good one, the 6.4, wasn't it? $6.4 billion on the universities, and those are the numbers that are off the top of my head, but I'll look into some other numbers. But nothing's better than giving people certainty. When I was door knocking the other day, he was in the trades, and he goes, you know, my kids need a place. I'm going to build a place in the backyard for them, but I need certainty. I said, what are you working on? And he said, one of the tunnels for the subways. I said, we're never going to stop building. You're going to have a paycheck for the next 15, 20 years. And a big smile went on his face, and nothing's more rewarding than that. Because without a strong economy, and I always say the foundation of our healthcare system, our schools and universities and colleges, education, everything relies on one thing. It's simple. It's our economy. We have to keep our economy going. And we can't deliver the world-class services that families and communities are counting on if we don't have a strong economy. To keep the dream of home ownership alive and build affordable homes faster, we're investing $8.8 billion in partnership with the federal government. I want to thank the federal government, and along with the HST, they did an incredible job working with us. Had to do a little bit of wrestling with the Prime Minister, but I'm a little heavier than he is. But he's a great partner, let me tell you, he is. Finally brought him to the table along with my great finance minister. To support housing enabling infrastructure across the province in municipalities that reduce development charges, which add hundreds of thousands of dollars to the cost of a new home. In June, I was pleased to award Toronto with $1.5 billion following their decision to cut development charges by up to 60% on new homes. And Minister Flack was telling me, more people are basically in the queue to get money than the money we have. Some are throwing in 30%. Folks, I'm just being frank with you. You got to get up to 50. We can extend it, even if we're running out of a little bit of money, we'll add to it, because it's just going to benefit each and every one of you, and have some people. It used to be, your kids that can't afford it. Now it's middle-aged people, it's everyone that wants to have an opportunity to get into home ownership. And we will be rolling out more funding in the coming weeks to other municipalities that have also shown leadership by lowering their development charges. Yesterday, Minister McCarthy and Minister Flack also announced that through our $8.8 billion partnership, we're investing over $1 billion to support housing enabling infrastructure in communities that do not levy development charges, with applications to open October 29th of this year. So please get your applications in as quickly as possible. When combined with our HST cut on new homes, we're saving home buyers up to over $200,000. And by getting shovels in the ground faster, we're keeping thousands of workers across the province on the job. We're seeing the results with new home sales up to 130% compared to last year. My message is very clear. There's never been a better time to buy. There's never been a better time to build. And to everyone here in the room today, there's never been a better time to work with us to lower the cost of homes and protect workers and families. Working with municipalities, we're cleaning up our streets, cracking down on crime so people can feel safe again in their own communities. We're shutting down drug injection sites, clearing encampments out of parks, and fixing the broken bail system to keep violent, repeat criminals behind bars where they belong. And we're investing in the world-class community spaces families deserve. And I think it goes back to my City Hall days. I love this more than anything at all. Through our Community Sports and Recreation Infrastructure Fund, which is the largest investment of its kind in Ontario's history, allowing us to build and upgrade arenas, community centres, pools, and playing fields. You know, that's what I love. I go to these communities and community centres and arenas. It's a gathering place. And in emergencies, it's a gathering place, and everyone comes together. That's why I just love community centers. And please go out there and put those applications in. These projects are creating good-paying local jobs and world-class community spaces that residents can enjoy for decades to come. Earlier this year, through our 2026 provincial budgets, we increased the fund to $500 million. And today, I'm thrilled to announce that the next round of applications for the fund is officially open right now. We're always oversubscribed, so please get out there. And I think I got to work over my finance minister, because $500 million, just boom, it vanishes like that. So let me see what I can do. He's going to kill me for saying those words. So if your community has an eligible project that is ready to go, I encourage you to apply so we can get building. We will keep working with the municipalities that are ready to work with us to lower costs for workers and families, attract investment, and build homes and businesses, because that is the best way we can protect Ontario. I've never been more optimistic about our province's future, because we have everything we need right here. We have the resources, we have the expertise, the world-class workers that are building the most resilient, self-reliant, and competitive economy anywhere in the world. And working together, we'll get it done to protect Ontario. Again, I sincerely want to thank you. You need anything at all, call me on my cell phone, text message me, and I'll call you right back. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.